to watching Carbonation attempt that ceremony/ritual for the goddess Sekhmet, I decided that it would be good for me to discuss the awakening of a lot of people over a span of a decade. There has been more of us, African American people, wanting to practice outside of Christianity and kind of get in touch with our roots and also the spirituality aspects, because it's showing respect and homage to where we come from, and in hopes that not only do we feel a connection, but in hopes that we grow spiritually and that we awaken other aspects of ourselves. I think that is amazing that we are seeking understanding and we want to understand things that happen in our lives, the world around us, and really understand and unlock the knowledge of the universe and where we come from as far as our creation, who created mankind. These are things that I feel like every human who thinks critically would try to find an answer to. And it's good that in this day and time, which is a wonderful time to be alive with so much information out there at our fingertips, we have now the opportunity to explore other options outside of Christianity without the fear of condemnation and death. So us looking to Africa, looking to the motherland, looking to Mother Africa for spiritual practices is what I don't like, is how African traditions and spirituality has been somewhat bastardized long before pop culture and before the independent form of sorcery and magic and root working. You had to be initiated into the fold so that you can learn under someone. And not only were you initiated primarily, like for instance, you were necessarily just initiated into the fold to learn. You were initiated to be recognized by certain deities, by certain spirits that work within the covering of whatever house that is initiating you. So you have a lot of us who, now we have Google, now we have books, now we have all this information, which is wonderful. It's good that we have all this knowledge. A lot of that knowledge that we have now is a fraction of the truth. Regardless of what your spiritual faith is, there's a root. It stems from pretty much the same thing, identifying who we are, who made us, and why. The keepers of this knowledge, the keeper of the truth, had a great responsibility of not only initiating people into the fold to learn the truth, but protecting the truth, protecting the practices. And it had to be a very trustful relationship between the person who was teaching and the person who was learning. But there's been a great bastardization of all the knowledge in this world to the point where, everything's in a book, everything's in a video, and everything is online. But in this short video, I would like to not only state what caused this breakage, this connection, this break in our connection to our ancestors, to our roots, and to who we are, but also educate about magic and who is allowed to use it and where does it come from. We are all threaded together by two common things. One is blood, and two is the breath of life, which is our spirit. We all have a spirit. And because of this, we all, like in a hive, have a common goal, a common theme. Everyone has a bit or a piece of power. There's something special, a spark in everyone. The issue is that we all believe that we're supposed to be doing the same thing. I know that with every fiber of my being, I'm supposed to teach, but I have to kind of break through certain barriers because there's so many faces and so many voices speaking about the same thing and attempting to do the same thing. And I'm not going to charge anyone. I'm not asking anyone to buy any subscriptions. I don't want praise. I don't think that I'm the smartest person in the world. I also don't want people to low-key worship me or look to me solely for advice or for a direction to point. I want to build an audience confidence and self-esteem so much that they can take what it is that I'm supposed to teach, that, by the way, was taught to me and that I've learned in my life and in this walk, this spiritual journey, and be able to go out into the world and be themselves and do themselves. I would feel like I have done a disservice if I charge people for things that they can do themselves. If my audience is working, so too can I. And that's one thing that I feel needs to be done and is necessary, because for so long our people have been pimped out of our money and out of our resources, putting our faith in what other people have said, using knowledge that was not their own. This is not mine. This was here before me, and I pray that it will be here long after me. And with that being said, if you made it this far in the video, then you'll get this information. So, about Magick and about working roots. These are two separate things, okay? Although now, in this day and time, we combine the two, because if you can work a root, you tend to know the knowledge of magic, right? But that knowledge, like I said, and that information, it all stems from being initiated. In order for, again, not everyone is Yoruba. That is a tribe of people, all right? In order for the Orishas to know your name, you have to be invited, okay? A lot of knowledge was protected and kept within a house, literally and figuratively. So I'm going to give an example so that it can be easily understood. Let's say you're at home. Now, this is your home because you live there, but it is not your house. Someone is paying the mortgage. It's the person who's paying the mortgage whose name is on the deed. So technically, it's their home, and they run the house. You know what I'm saying? They're maintaining the house. So we'll just say that the owner of this said house are the gods, all right? Someone who does not live in the house comes knocking on the door and asks us to speak to Oya. And you say, let me go. What's your name? Oh, my name is Eddie. Oh, Eddie. And so you go and you say, wait 1 minute before I let you in, because I never seen you before. Let me go speak to Oya and see if she invited someone by the name of Eddie. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So you go to Oya and you say, yeah, someone's at the door by the name of Eddie, saying that they want to see you. If Oya comes to the door and she sees Eddie and she does not recognize Eddie, she's going to be like, what the hell you come to this door for? She's going to wonder, What have you come to her home for? And why are you asking for her? Do you follow me? So before Oya invites you in, she's going to want to know, why have you come? She's also going to know, what are your intentions? And if she's never seen you before, she don't even know who you are. She's going to want to know, how do you know me? How do you know my name? I don't know you. Same too with these gods that we worship. And even in the Bible, they speak of, when you're not baptized, the God, when you leave this plane and you go on to the next, if you are not written into the book of life, God will say he does not know you. You did not follow our practices. You did not live the way that I intended you to live. You were not initiated through the ritual. So I don't know you. This is not new to any spirituality on this planet. If you have to be Christianized and baptized in Christianity, which is a bastardized religion, okay, what makes you think that the same does not apply to any other religion? You know, you haven't passed any test. You have not. The people who have been practicing before you were born don't even know you. They haven't even spoken to you or told you about the information. You went and you Googled it, or you heard about it back in the bushes. Okay? So, if you really and truly respect tradition and respect our way, you would learn all that you can before going out there on your own. Ifa may not be your home. Yoruba may not be the house that you want to visit. Never hear a name and then go run to it. Understand that sometimes what you feel and what you think is an urge to find out information. It's an urge to start practicing. But you're not supposed to just throw yourself up in there like that. The first thing you must learn before entering any spirituality is you. You have to learn you. And I'm not saying, I know it's been said, it's on postcards, it's on the back of people's cars as a bumper sticker. It's so freaking cliche. But I'm telling you, before entering any spirituality, I don't even care if it's Christianity. I'm not opposed to anyone going with where what helps them the most. At this point in time, with so much history that has happened, and so the stronghold, I'm telling you, these foreign people, and I'm not talking about people that are from different countries. I'm talking about people with a foreign spirit, okay? Would breathe life into them, did not breathe life into us, okay? These people have a stronghold on humanity, and spirituality is so diluted and perverted that, look, wherever you can find peace, wherever you can find enlightenment, and what adds to your life, if it's Christianity, then so be it. I'm not opposed to anything. Know who you are. You have to know yourself. You have to figure that out. You don't find yourself in spirituality. You find yourself. And then spirituality grows you. You don't find it in spirituality. Spirituality is a place where you are who you are fully. And it expands you. Okay? You don't find yourself there. You know, if you're going to go knock at someone's door and they ask you who you are, message, you don't want to say you don't know. Okay? You want to know your name. You want to know who you are. To work a root, anyone can work a root, Because roots, okay, when you hear, maybe if you're from the South, and maybe even some people that are from Central America or some of these Caribbean islands would know that the so-called root working is the actual action. What is needed is in the name, roots. We're talking herb. We're talking about using the earth, seeds, herbs, the elements, the rain, which is water, and even air, your breath, using fire. These things are used, okay, to get a response and get a reaction, all right, to get a result, all right. Rooting or root work, it was primarily used to heal, all right. So you're simply a scientist, you're simply a chemist, so to speak. To do root working, you must understand what these particular compounds, what these particular elements do. When you combine this with that, what is the reaction? And sometimes it's not even about adding or subtracting. Just lighting sage, which sage has been just tossed out there, and everyone's using sage, regardless of what the religious practice is. Sage, 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 sage. But not understanding why when you light it, why when people have say, when you light it, it cleanses an area. What is the cause of that? Where does that knowledge come from? So understanding that different roots, different herbs, even different soils can cause a different reaction. Case in point, although all of our natural things that come from the earth, right, has been used to cause a reaction, science used the same method, but in a different and perverted way. So they have pills, they have medication that will keep you alive, right? That'll cause your heart to speed or cause your heart to slow down. These are chemicals, all right? Some of them are natural. Some of these chemicals used in these medicines that we use every day are found in nature, okay? And it took the knowledge of what happens and how the body responds, okay? It took the knowledge of that and understanding of that to build a pharmaceutical company. Same too applies to when you are finding out what works out in your kitchen, in your cupboard, in your garden for you, for whatever result it is that you're seeking and whatever result you're looking for. Okay? Looking at things from a smaller scale is no different from looking at it at a bigger scale, because everything was taken from nature. So when you work in a root, you're simply using nature to get a physical or a chemical response, whether you're trying to improve something or, heck, if you're going to get a little dark, decline something. All right? But you're using the earth. That's root working. All right? So remember I said I was going to teach you about roots and magic. Magic comes from using things outside of nature. All right? Now, let's get back to roots, because everybody great grandma got a remedy for something, right? We all have these little remedies and these practices and traditions that stem from our ancestors figuring out what works. See, a lot of the food groups that we have here in America was actually brought on this continent, VI boat, NVI, the transatlantic, slavery trade. All right. And a lot of the information, a lot of people don't know that, in fact, we spend so much time being embarrassed or calling ourselves something else, I'm gonna let you guys know now. Like, I understand there were black people here on this continent before being enslaved, but I know for a fact, because I know myself, that America, okay, was not where my great 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 grandfather and grandmother came from. All right. We're here now. Okay. But I know for a fact, I just want to say, like, half of the food groups here, the grass, the flowers, cause severe allergic reactions to many of the people in my family. If you are from this place, why are you sick? I'm just going to put that out there. People think grass is the same everywhere. There are certain flowers here, certain trees here in America that are not in Mama Africa. Okay? And I'm going to breeze past that out. That's for a different video. But moving forward, we all have these little traditions. And a lot of it, for us, starts in the kitchen. It starts with herbs and, heck, mixing some stuff in a pot. And we've heard of these things and these practices, and we think, but grandma was a Christian. Grandma was a Christian, but grandma did it anyway because it wasn't sorcery. In her eyes, it was not sorcery. It wasn't no damn magic. Just working the roots. And if you would listen to your grandma, she was telling you the truth because she was not using anything outside of nature. When I speak of nature, just so that we don't get caught up in semantics, when I speak of nature, I'm speaking of what grows in the world from the soil and in the water and in the air. That is nature. That's the nature I'm speaking of, okay? So, what do I mean about magic being outside of nature? And magic is not in a pot. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. You can shift the energy with some candles and some fire and some chanting and some drums, but you're not causing magic from that. The magic comes from within. It comes from the sources that you're using. Some people use deities. They use the gods, all right? Some people, whenever you pray, which is a ritual, which in some cases we can say is magic, okay? You're calling on the name of a God that you believe in, and you're requesting favor, all right? That is outside of yourself. It is outside of nature. So we've been taught. We've been taught that we have to request to God for an answer, for a job, for something. Whatever it is that we're requesting, we have to request it from God, right? Here's the secret in knowing when to go to a God, all right? When to go to the God or whatever. If it is concerning something that can only be changed or moved by God, that's when you request it from God. People go to God for anything, right? And they believe that God is sitting there waiting patiently for your complaints. And I'm going to loosely speak about God. And then, that would be my next video, is who is God and things like that. But for all intents and purposes, let's just stay with what we're familiar with, okay? So if you have an issue that can only be resolved by something outside of you and outside of nature, that is when you pray. And if you have an issue or requesting something that, again, cannot be resolved or gained by you or nature, that is when you use magic, baby. And not everyone is supposed to practice, and not everyone should use it. This is where initiation is important. This is where People get caught up and they end up messing up not only their lives, but the people around them lives. You know, I must kind of like just go ahead and I don't know if I'm putting a plug or, being a plug for practitioners out there, but I just want to say this. First, don't just go with the TikTokers on there everybody's freaking throwing tarot cards, and which anybody can. That's the secret. Anybody can. And for being honest, this is why for my moral conscience, I would never charge anyone for that. But anyway, moving on. That's another video. Okay. I'll do another video on that too. But for the real practitioners out there, not the fake ones, not the ones that try to scare you and tell you you need X, Y, and Z, and it's going to cost you $5,000 because you have a hex on you or something like that, just because you can't get a job. Being a practitioner is not always about the, financial gain aspect. It is you have to, I wouldn't wish it on just anybody. You have to be very responsible with what you know. You have to be extremely responsible and very, very selfless at times to truly be with the shits. And what I mean by that is you have a responsibility of maintaining dignity and respect of not just the people that you're helping, but the forces that are helping you. Okay? And anyone that's throwing around curses, throwing around threats, I do not take them seriously. Because a practitioner's life is a hard life. Not because it's full of illness and full of, misery and loneliness. Not that, although that can be a part of it. But because it takes immense discipline. It takes like a lot of discipline. And if you are untrained and you are not disciplined, meaning you can't handle your emotions, you can't handle a little trouble, you can't handle a little thumping, bumping at night, you're gonna mess some things up. And other people's spiritual path and other people's lives are literally in your hand. This is a great responsibility. And for people to want to take it on just because it's a trend or just because they think they can do it, it just it confuses me. But I will say this, not everyone who even thinks that they're practicing magic they're really not. A lot of them are just still doing the root work, which is nothing to be played with, because like I said, you got stuff out here that can stop your heart. So no, I'm not going to downplay nature. Nature is a force, okay? Nature is definitely a force, and it's to be respected. But the reason why the knowledge of our magic and information about all of that is so bastardized, and a lot of that is lost, is because you have to be called to do it. Not everyone is called to work on the physical plane and spiritual plane. Not everyone is. And I hate that everyone feels like they have to be speaking with spirits or working with spirits. Not everyone can, and not everyone is called to do this work. Okay? This work. Not everyone is called to do that work. So I don't want my audience to feel like like I'm just trying to just be a little different, because I want people to know that I'm coming from a sincere place. I want people to find a spot and be comfortable in it and not feel like they have to be here or practice this and do that or know that to be someone or to be on the right path. It does not require all that. No, not everyone is supposed to work on the spiritual plane. That everyone is supposed to. And that's okay. Not everybody was they had priests, they had priestess. Okay, these are where the people of the tribe will go to for answers, or to go to work things out, or whatever the case may be. Not everyone wielded that connection. All right, you have to be called, you have to be chosen to do that. All right, so if you're not chosen, and those who are chosen, they know who they are. But if you're not chosen, don't feel that or you just can't find your footing, you just can't find your place, you just don't have that connection that everyone's talking about. Understand that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just not for you. The good news is everyone has something. Everyone's working on a little something, something. And my goal is to help people, lead them in the right direction towards finding themselves, finding their strengths, knowing the weaknesses. That way, while they're on their spiritual journey, it can be strengthened and broadened. And throughout the journey, throughout the duration of their life, as it plays out, some of these cycles won't have to repeat. All right, in the next one. So, or it won't be a next one, because some people. I gotta make a video about ancestries. Ancestors, soul, spirit. This is separate. Oh my goodness. Anywho. So for any future topics concerning spirituality, if you have any questions, first of all, I'm being 100% raw and honest. If I don't know, I'll let you know. I do not know. I'm not finna guess. I'm not finna wonder. It's not about what they call it, pride. I don't need I don't need worship. I don't need none of the bells and whistles, none of that. I don't need nobody's money. I am in need of nothing. I'm going to be raw and honest with you, so go ahead and ask.